Okay, I'm going to be showing you guys how to do a pretty basic assembly in Autodesk Inventor. I'm going to assume that you guys have already downloaded all of the necessary parts from our shared drive. If not, go onto our Discord. There's a link to the shared folder there, and you should find a folder called Assembly Parts and download that zip file and unzip it. I'm going to assume you guys all know how to do that. I'm not going to show you guys how to do that. And let's get started. So first we're going to want to create a new assembly. So you want to scroll down here and make sure you click on standard millimeters.iam, okay? Because we're not doing like molds or we're not like welding things. So we are just going to use the standard assembly. So we're going to click on create and we are going to click on place. So I already have the folder of all three of the parts we're going to be using, and I'm going to place the base and axles first. So there's a neat little preview here that shows you what the part you're going to place kind of looks like. So we're going to just click on open. You can see there's kind of this like little preview here. I don't really like the perspective that this starts you off in, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click on the little home icon and I'm going to scroll out with my scroll wheel so I can kind of get a clear view of what I am placing. So I'm going to click to place this component, and I'm going to press escape on my keyboard to exit from the placing mode. So what we're going to do with this component is we are going to ground it. So what grounding means is you are basically fixing this component in place so that it cannot move. And the grounded component is like the ground. It's a base for the interactions it has with the rest of the components. So if you want one component to move, you usually want to constrain the movement relative to the grounded component. So I just chose this to be the grounded component pretty arbitrarily. You can usually choose any component to be your grounded component as long as it's not going to move and it's not supposed to move. So next what we're going to do is we are going to place the wheels. You can kind of see here that the wheels are not in the right orientation. So what we're going to do is we are going to right click and we are going to rotate this along the x-axis by 90 degrees. So like this. We are then going to place 4 of these wheels. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what happens if you place an extra wheel like this? Well, not to worry, because all you have to do is click on this wheel to select it, right click, and click delete. And there you go, no extra wheels. So I think it's pretty important to note that even if you forget about rotating like your part in the right direction, you don't really need to worry about it, because as long as you do all your constraints right, after everything is fully constrained, your objects should be oriented the right way relative to each other anyways. So we are going to start our constraints. We are going to start constraining these wheels to our axles. So we're going to click on constrain and we're going to click on this one right here, insert. And what we're going to do is we're going to select this outer face of the axle and the center kind of axis that follows it. And then we are going to select this inner face of this wheel and the inside pointing axle. And we're going to click on that. You can see that you can hear this popping sound, and we're going to click apply. So what this does is this actually adds 2 separate constraints. One, to stop it from sliding along the axle, which are these 2 faces that we've constrained. And the second, to ensure that it only rotates along the axle, which are these 2 little dotted arrow vectors that you can see here. We're going to repeat this step for all 4 wheels. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So again, we're going to select this edge, and this edge, we're going to click apply. Then we're going to rotate it. I like using the little model at the top. Some of you guys like to use like holding down the center mouse button and doing that. That's totally fine. It's just a matter of personal preference. Once you get used to things, it's pretty easy. So again, we're just going to do that. We're going to click apply. And we're going to do the last wheel here. So the inside and this, and we are going to click apply. So now looking from the top, we can see that all of our wheels are aligned properly. And if we close our constraints, we can actually see that each wheel rotates on its own without being able to slide forward and backwards. Pretty cool. Okay, now we're going to place the last part of our assembly, which is the trolley body. So it kind of looks like this. We're going to open it. We are going to orient it the right way just for convenience. So we're going to click rotate Y, rotate Y. So we're going to do it like this. And we're going to place it up here. So first thing we're going to do for the trolley body is we are going to constrain the bottom face of the trolley body with the top face of our wheel and axles. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to do that, and we're going to click apply. Oh, by the way, this is the mate constraint. Okay, so now at this stage, even though we've kind of adhered these two faces to each other, this thing can still slide around horizontally and vertically whatever we want. So what we are going to do is we are going to constrain these holes to each other. So again, we're going to use mate. We're going to choose this outer edge here for this, and we're going to choose this outer edge here, and we are going to click apply. So I also think it's important to note that when you are doing your actual assembly, things might not fit together perfectly. And why is this? This is because you want to leave a little bit of kind of tolerance for your objects. So say you have a ultrasonic sensor that you've measured to be, I don't know, like 50 millimeters or something. And so, okay, these two actually overlap. So we're going to rotate it a little bit so we can constrain it a little bit better. But point is, one of your holes might be bigger than the other, so instead of using mate, you might want to use insert instead to align the axes instead of aligning the holes. So don't worry about it if it doesn't, fit perfectly. As long as you can kind of get a sense of what it should look like in the assembly, I think that's okay. So we've kind of finished constraining everything now. And you can either test if your objects are fully constrained by kind of trying to wiggle it around or move it around, or you can go to this useful tool under View and Degrees of Freedom. So once you click on Degrees of Freedom, you can kind of see in these little black lines here which objects are free to move in which directions. So you can see here the only degrees of freedom that we have are on these wheels here, which is 1 degree of rotational freedom. And that's obviously a good thing because we don't want anything else to move in our assembly model. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the assembly.